friends, and welcome back to the No Clip Podcast. It's episode 158. We're feeling great. Apologies if there's a bit of, I don't know if there's reverb. Probably I am recording, as you can see on the video version, from my basement, a basement room in California, Jeremy. I feel like there's probably there's a closet in the corner of this room, and it was locked when we got this place, and I couldn't open it. And then I eventually found a drawer full of keys, and the key that opened this room, there was like 20 keys, was labeled M Room, which to me just immediately I go to murder room.
Yeah, 100%.
You're from the East Coast. What do you think about a murder room in California? Does that sound like an appropriate use of underground dwelling?
I feel like the only basements in California are vineyards. I feel like murder rooms is more of an East Coast versus West Coast thing. The first apartment I had in San Francisco was a little tiny one-room apartment, and it had a storage locker inside of the apartment. And the guys who rented it to me, it was like an off-book sublet. They were like, you can go anywhere in the apartment, just don't open the storage locker.
Wow.
And I was like 20 or early 20s, so of course I had to open the storage locker. Because I was like, is it full of like murder weapons?
Chekhov's
and it was
storage locker.
Exactly. Like, don't open the cookie jar. I need a cookie. I opened it, and it was packed to the gills with condoms and lube.
You're kidding.
I think it might have been like a fuck pad. I think it was renting a fuck pad long term.
How big was this storage? In my head, the storage locker was like a U-Haul sized thing. So
no, it wasn't like a pod. It was like a like a thing that you would store tools in. Like two doors, metal, kind of shallow, but for condoms and lube, overkill for sure.
Wow. And was there like a variety of condoms? Like you've got people over and you don't know what size they need, or was it like this is one guy's condom?
No, it was a one-stop shop. Okay, there was it was a veritable Willy Wonka's chocolate factory of flavored condoms.
Wow, Willy Wonka. That's a whole new angle on that.
It's my favorite bar in San Francisco.
What are you buying? Great spot in the Castro. Frank Howley, how are you? Have you seen the movie Wonka yet? I feel like that might be down your...
I didn't. No. I didn't see Wonka. What did I see? I saw Ferrari, which I really liked. I feel like no one talked about it, but it's a new Michael Mann movie. It's very tight. It got me to replay Gran Turismo. So
did you watch the movie Gran Turismo?
No, I skipped that.
It's not amazing. It's fine. We did a patron exclusive podcast over on my Formula One podcast about that one, and it's Neil Blomkamp did it, surprisingly.
That's the District 9 guy?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Were there aliens in it?
There's no aliens in it. No, there's no fucking
Was
prawns.
there classism?
Fucking prawns. There's a bit of classism, actually. Yeah, there is.
All right, cool. Then it's on brand.
Now that you mention it. There's in a racing, working class person trying to get in there into the world of rich aliens who, all of Formula One is. Hello, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. We hope you've had a terrific New Year's and Christmas holiday period. I was in Ireland for most of mine, which was great fun because the sun is in the sky for about 50 minutes in Ireland around this time of year. So everyone is just indoors and giving each other's various flus and colds, just passing it back and forth for weeks and months on end. It's kind of just the way it works back home. Did play some video games though. You guys played some video games too. We also got a lot of suggestions for names of awards that we sort of fucked up. So I'm going to try and wrangle some of those up. I actually forgot to prep them before the podcast, but we'll get to it. We're also going to talk about some of the games that are coming out in 2024 just to prime you up, get you ready for some hot video game action, just in case you haven't completed Baldur's Gate 3 yet, which I'm sure most of us still are just wincing our way through it, this ridiculously long video game. But let's jump into some of the stuff we played over the break. First of all, gents, do you mind if I go first on this one?
Of course.
Thank you. Well, there's this one game that I played. I feel like it's come up a couple of times. I played it when it was in... It was early. It was like an alpha or a demo or something. Tape to Tape. It was basically a sort of a modern NHL 94 situation. A couple of people have tried this. There was a game that came out a number of years ago called, I think it was like Old School Hockey or Good Time Hockey or something. It was a throwback to sort of like what felt like 1940s or 50s hockey, like people wearing leather helmets and that sort of stuff, which I remember playing. But Tape to Tape, I played a number of years back, and it looked like, oh, it's like NHL 94 perspective, but with like cool sort of cartoonish graphics, does the part. I played some games on it. Sure, okay, that was cool. I wonder what they'll do with it. They turned it into a fucking roguelike. So like, I went to play this, and I've been meaning to play it because it came out and it's still an early access game. But I'd seen trailers for it, and I was like, oh, it looks like there's some weird shit going on here. Like there's moments where your players turn into ice blocks, and I saw like a bit of the trailer where you were playing a team of referees, and I was like, oh, this is like doing some weirdness. And it's completely bananas. I absolutely love it. It is a roguelike structure. There are like different worlds. You do like, one, you go from, I'm trying to think what's the game it has the closest structure to. It's a little bit like, remember Inscription? Do you remember in Inscription you had like you started at one point and then the map sort of split sometimes and you got to choose whether you went to like the shop or, maybe there was like a roll of the dice thing. And then eventually you went into the games, which was the card games, right? So that's what this is, except instead the card games are hockey games. But you're also on the way choosing like, oh, am I going to, you're crossing like a land. Like it has this weird lore to it, but you're a hockey team. You get to like roll your team at the start and pick a player and then pick some attributes. Like your team has attributes like one of my or certain moves, like one of my guys wears like a shield of like a suit of armor and he's able to bust down people. He has a move where I can hit it and it'll just like he'll flick the puck and it'll like knock out multiple people on the other team, which is super handy. You're basically like creating a power play essentially. There's other moves like there's one that's like a you hit it once so the puck goes away from you and you hit it again, the puck comes back, sort of like a boomerang or something. And so it has exactly what I guess this is like a really smart design because it's like NHL 94's design or like old school Genesis, SNES hockey games are kind of perfect. Like that they're great. So how do you like augment that? And they went in a totally weird direction of, oh yeah, we're just gonna have like superpowers and we'll do it in this roguelike structure so the games actually matter, because that's a big problem I think with a lot of sports games is that, especially like baseball video games, but like in a lot of games, where there's lots of matches in a season, which I guess hockey also sort of suffers from too, is that any one game doesn't feel all that important. Whereas in this, all these games feel life and death. And there's like, you'll start a game, like I mentioned, the refereeing team, that was the last team in the first run. I'm not sure if it always is, but they were like a team of referees, and like, I had like there's a referee in the game too, and like whenever the puck went near him, he just threw the puck towards my goal. Like he was like helping his buddies out. I had a goal that I scored. They were beating me 2-0 after like a minute, and I scratched myself back and got 2 goals. And in the third period, with like 30 seconds left, I scored a goal, and they just chalked it off. And I was like, what? I still don't know what the fuck happened. Did they just decide not to give the goal because like their referee, he just went, no. And then I was like, what? And I eventually won the game anyway. There's like, different teams and like sort of Bavarian Lederhosen and like other teams that have like superpowers and stuff. It's very funny because it makes you sort of change your tactics and it just keeps the whole thing fresh. And every game feels like it's super, super important. So I've been digging Tape to Tape.
That's cool. I actually wanted to, even though I don't really play sports games, one of my favorite games as a kid was Mega Man Soccer, because even though I wasn't into sports games, it's like it transforms soccer into this, or like Mario Strikers, I think is kind of like this too. Yeah, adding like combat and combat abilities to sports is. I think we just need to add fighting to professional sports, and I'd be on board.
It's weird that like this used to be like a genre, like brutal sports football, or like Mutant League hockey, or speedball. Like in the 90s, there was loads. Like sports games weren't realistic, right? Like NBA Jam, there was 2-on-2. Like that's not how basketball worked. The Chicago Bulls don't have Scottie Pippen out there and some other guy, Elijah Wan, whoever it is. Like we were working with, there was a sort of a progression towards realism, especially when 3D happened. Then it was like, oh, well, we're just making simulations at this stage. But it is weird how we don't have more. I guess Rocket League was a great example of somebody deconstructing sports games. But I love soccer games. Like the old Pro Evolution games were amazing. The early FIFA games, the 09-08 stuff, when they figured that stuff out, Sensible Soccer. There's some really great games. Mario Strikers Charged for the Wii is in my top 5 soccer games. Easy.
It's so good.
So
good. It's fantastic.
And you're scoring 15 goals against that alligator. Like, you know what I mean? When you go into the sky and you just keep taking shots at him with like, where are these balls coming from? But it's cool. Like that's what sports are, just rules, like sets of rules, and this physicality. They're perfect for games. And it is funny how people are so reticent to fuck with them, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like Pyre is also kind of this camp in a weird way. They just were like, let's just invent a new sport, though.
Let's have none of the aesthetic of a sport.
Yeah. Let's like make it a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, but with ball sports.
Yeah,
snuck in there. It's like a little putting the sugar in the medicine or whatever.
It's a weird pagan futurism or something, but also, yeah, you're basically playing. That's basically a basketball game, isn't it? Or handball, maybe, I guess, or something.
Yeah. Handball is probably close.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm digging it. It's I think it supports like 8 players as well. I'm not sure if that's locally or over a network or what the story is. There's a lot of like funny lore, like the names of the ice rinks and their logos and stuff when you're in them is usually pretty good. The character animation is very. I don't know what you'd liken it to. You guys looking at like screenshots or anything? It has like it's like a floating head thing of like a 2D head on a 3D body, kind of cell shaded. It reminds me of something. I just can't remember what it is. But the characters they pop very funny to me.
You know what it reminds me a little bit of aesthetically is Plants vs. Zombies.
You're not wrong, actually. Yeah. Wait, God, you're right. That's. Yeah,
it's weirdly similar. Like it doesn't. The aesthetic is so different. It's like human beings and not zombies and plants. But something about their like faces, their facial expressions.
Yeah, and the fact that they sort of float on the neck. They're sort of the heads animate separate. Or it's weird how like calling it like that sounds almost derogatory because it's
I don't mean it that. That's it. Plants vs. Zombies is also a very fun game. Yeah, it also reminds me a little bit of Bob's Burgers in a weird way.
Yes,
this game.
You're totally right. Yes, I think that's what I was thinking of.
Really?
I think that's why I wasn't able to get it with a game. In my head, I was thinking like South Park. No, it's not South Park.
Yeah, it definitely looks like adult animation, like something that would be on like Fox or Comedy Central.
Yeah.
It's like a new Fox series, comedy series.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but in terms of gameplay, it controls very much like an NHL 94. The camera does it feels very familiar that way. The passing is cool. The shooting, I really like. The attributes of your players matter a lot. Like I have one dude who's very good at finishing, and I try as much as possible to get him the puck. I also have a perk on him, which means that whenever he misses, I think whenever the keeper saves the puck from him, it goes straight out to one of our other players. So he's also like a good. So you end up like. In the same way that like NHL 94 in our documentary, right? They're talking about how like one-timers became this thing, or like there were certain strategies, or like Frank knows for sure when he was recording the gameplay, there were certain like angles you could take that would give you a better chance of getting a goal or not. This game kind of has that, but like with all of the abilities, like there's you unlock new strategies on every run because you're speccing your players in different ways, or you're unlocking different abilities on your little quest across the map. So yeah, I was really surprised by it. I had played it before and I thought it was completely fine, and I was like, oh, maybe it'd be like a fun sports game. I'll play for an hour and then not think about it again, and I'll be like, that was pretty awesome. But it actually has like tons of like very smart depth to it. It's really neat.
You know what just sold me is I was going through the pictures here and I was like, oh, this looks like a fun hockey game. And then there was a picture of a like a Dark Souls blacksmith in a hockey goalie mask.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I'm actually going to play this now. I don't know. That you can tell where my priorities are, because the farther they abstract away from sports and towards fantasy, I'm like, oh, there's a blacksmith in this.
It's very weird how much they lean into, like the map especially is like, I don't want to spoil too much, but like there are like fantastical Lovecraftian elements to like what is
cool.
in the world. Like, and it's kind of, it feels like like intentionally inconsistent because everyone's just playing like the hockey games are just hockey games. The crowds look like regular crowds. Like sometimes the teams look goofy because they're wearing funny things and they've got crazy heads, or it's a team of referees or whatever. But like, it's not like the worlds at least in what I've played, it's not like you're playing in a cavern or something. Like the hockey, it's just they're just hockey stadiums. But everything else are like it's like a normal hockey stadium, and then you walk outside and it's like fucking D&D or something. You know what I mean? Like everything else in the world is fantastical and, you know, has that feeling. And it works. Like I think it's very not taking itself seriously. this video game.
That's cool. This looks like a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, Tape to Tape. It's 20% off at the moment. $20 on Steam regular. I think it's 16 at the moment. It's a weekend deal, so by the time you hear this, it should still be available. It's a very early accessy game, and I say that with the highest degree of praise because I have already seen how much it's changed, and obviously right now it feels like a game. Like you can play. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten past the second biome yet. It's also not particularly easy. It's a roguelike. Like it's you can shitty things can happen and you're like, oh, and then you go back to the start. It's I have a feeling it's a game that's gonna keep getting better and better. One of the perks I just saw in the trailer here was called bribery, which is when you can bribe the ref to like take out other players and stuff like that. So it's good fun. Tape to Tape. Currently, I think only available on PC, on Steam. But I would imagine this would come to a lot of stuff once it's done. Very cool game. Jeremy, do you want to go next? You have a game here. I thought you were playing Void Bastards, but you're playing some other type of Void game.
If you look up Void Stranger, like hints and tips, you get a lot of Void Bastards as well. I played a bunch of I played a bunch of Void Stranger. It is probably the most difficult game I've ever had to talk about on this podcast.
Oh, right.
Not like difficult. It is a difficult game, but what I mean is that it's going to be impossible to talk about because I feel like 90% of the things I want to say about this game would be spoilers.
Wow.
It is a game that is like, okay, I'm going to do my best here. This is going to be my best attempt at zero spoilers. It is a Sokoban game, which is a genre of game that is like a warehouse puzzle game, I believe, is what it translates to. Sokoban, warehouse keeper.
I'm more confused now.
Yeah,
it's a warehouse keeper game.
We'll get you there, buddy. Don't worry. It is a genre of video game where you're like, it is a tile-based little guy, and you're moving and you're pushing blocks around to certain positions to kind of like beat the level. Essentially, like think about like a Zelda Link to the Past puzzle where you have to push stones around in the right order.
Okay.
And if you push one, it'll block the trajectory of another one, so you can't complete the puzzle, right? So it's about thinking through the sequence and then executing and not screwing yourself over by pushing the blocks in the wrong way. So it's kind of like that. But the twist on this is, I also, full disclosure, I don't think I've ever played a Sokoban game in my whole life. Like I didn't know this genre existed until Void Stranger. Right. So anything I described
in other games, like that thing, but I've never played a game that's like Devil Dice. Does that count? Probably not.
I don't even know what Devil Dice is.
Oh, Devil Dice is fucking. A bunch of people who played Devil Dice, just their ears picked up and they went, yeah, fuck yeah, Devil Dice.
Oh, this looks cool. I love the aesthetic of this.
PS1 fucking puzzle game where you're a little jester jumping around on dice, and it's like, yep, and like lots of like, we got it. We'll talk about all the stuff we're doing on No Clip Crew pretty soon. I have now decided that we're doing a quick play of Devil Dice. It is fucking
hell
awesome.
yeah! I'm so down.
Anyway, sorry.
So yeah, I feel like that's a good example of the way that Sokoban probably was an influential genre that I've felt the influence of it in other things like Link to the Past and stuff. I think it has had an impact on dungeon crawlers, especially because I gather it's a very old genre. I think it's just like 1981 was the designed 1981. So anything that I describe as particularly unique about Void Stranger that is like a trope of the genre, my apologies in advance because I'm chalk it up to my naivety about it. But in Void Stranger, what you're doing is not only pushing things around and moving and pushing stones on a grid-based pattern, but there's also enemies that have different or not attack types, but like movement patterns. So like there's an enemy that will move towards you as long as it has a clear route to you. There's an enemy that will move towards you only if it has direct line of sight to you. Things like that. There are different rules. And the other thing you can do is basically you can pick up any tile off of the ground and hold it, and then you can replace it somewhere. You can only hold one tile at a time, and you have to put it on a vacant square. So kind of like, it seems like a very simple puzzle game, which is why I did not play this game before Game of the Year, because I was like, I've heard this game is very good. I'm sure it's brilliant. I don't really play like games that consist of just like 300 puzzle rooms. It's not really my thing.
Well, the one exception that proves that rule, perhaps, Mosalina.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. There's something about like an action element to the puzzles that makes that more like viscerally appealing to me. But I feel like I need to dissolve my prejudices against puzzle games, because Void Stranger is unbelievable. So
really?
Yeah, it's really, really good. The other thing, so I think the thing that really elevates it is the Sokoban puzzles grew on me a lot. Like when I started, I was kind of like, I want to see what this is, and I'll kind of just like play along with the Sokoban stuff. But as they add more rules and it compounds on itself and gets more complex, and you're kind of trying to like juggle all of the rules in your brain at the same time, it becomes this thing where it's like that feeling of discovery when you look at a room and it looks totally unbeatable, and then you like try a couple things and you're like, all right, well, that's not gonna work, and then it clicks for you, and you have that moment of like, oh, that thing I learned like 20 rooms ago is applicable here now, and I can do it to do something that seems impossible here. So that feeling of like aha moments is constant, which is really nice. But the thing that's really special about Void Stranger is it has a very strong narrative that I would tonally compare to Signalis, if anything.
Oh, cool.
It is like a very mysterious. It's kind of like the presentation is a lot like old like Final Fantasy 3 is kind of what it reminds me of.
Yeah, like black and white, top down, pixely.
Yeah, like it looks like a Game Boy game.
Right. Yeah.
But it has these like safe rooms essentially as you go that unveil story bits to you. And this happens within the first 10 minutes, so I feel fine talking about this. There is a very clever mechanic with the story stuff where when you get to these safe rooms, there's a tree in them. And you go up to the tree, and it's like the only place where there's no like enemies and pits you can fall in and stuff. And it says, you've been traveling for a while. Do you want to rest by the tree? And you go up to it, and it asks yes or no. And if you select yes, it quits the game. Because you like rest by the tree. Right. But the thing that I think is really cool about that is when you relaunch the game, it launches into the story segment that you were about to hit. So it creates this like incredible cognitive breadcrumb where I'm like one of two things happen. Either I'm like eager to restart the game because I want to see the story bit, or I forget about it and then I relaunch the game and I'm immediately into like, oh yeah, like I unlocked a story thing now.
That's also like kind of how sleep works. You know what I mean? Like, when you go to sleep and when you wake up the next morning, all of yesterday's baggage is basically gone for me. It's like, well, all right, what are we doing today? What's going on again? What am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm Danny. I'm married. Oh, my kids got to go to school.
You have like a memento tattoo on your arm that has all your loved ones. Do not trust
this man, and it's
a photo of me.
Picture of
so that part I think is like there's a lot of little things like that. Honestly, the thing this game reminds me the most of is Inscription. The feelings that I had playing Inscription, the way that it like again, not going to spoil Inscription for anyone because you should play Inscription, but the way that it messes with your expectations about video games and what video games are capable of, and then like it lets you kind of like lean into that, and then it pulls the rug out from under you, and they're like, what if the game was something else? What if we did something totally different now? Cool. So there's like this like frame breaking kind of meta element to Void Stranger.
Is there an element? I don't want to spoil too much, but is there an element of like similar to the reason why Inscription is hard to talk about? And I just literally talked about Inscription a second ago about the card game and the map. But like there are whole aspects of that game that we still don't talk about. Is it like a similar kind of thing? Like there's some.
I think that the reason that I feel like I can talk successfully around the spoilers for Inscription and still address this. I think the reason that a lot of people cooled on Inscryption at some point is because it does things that fundamentally change the way the game is played. And I think people felt alienated by it because they got comfortable with it. And then it was like totally pivoted. Void Stranger is very much, as far as I've seen, is, with the exception of like some story bits and little side things, it is very much the same gameplay throughout the whole game. And I think that is probably like that can at least alleviate the fears of people who hear Inscryption and Demure because they were like, oh, that game like fucked with me too much.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How like there's like a comfort level you enjoy when you're like, I don't know, 25% into a game, and Inscryption just pulls the rug out. And I think you're right. I think it like a lot of people, it just like made them recoil because it's like it reminded me of like when you're watching like a movie that changes genre, or like Dusk Till Dawn. Like a lot of people don't like Dusk Till Dawn because they think they're watching one movie and then 30 minutes in it changes into an entirely different movie and they're like, what the fuck?
There's like a feeling of initial learning that is part of playing a video game, and I think that it's baked into our minds that once we're past that period, that we're like, now I'm in the flow state.
Yes.
Now I've got like my footing under me, and to introduce a secondary period of like, now you don't know shit about this game, is like, it's very I mean, that's why I like Daniel Mullins games, is they're challenging. Like there are moments in, most if not all of his games where you're like, oh no, why does this game have access to my social security number? What's happening? But yeah, so Void Stranger, the most I can say about why it's brilliant without getting into specific details is that it continues not only does it like add rules onto the base gameplay, but it is a world that is made up of secrets. And so this is the best way I can say it. If you have played a lot of Void Stranger, like 7 hours plus, you will look at screenshots of people who have played 20 minutes of it, and what they see as a puzzle, very basic puzzle room, you will be like, oh, I'm seeing a million like secret things here. People compare it to Tunic too, which I haven't played a ton of Tunic, so I wonder if that's a better
Tunic
comparison.
is a very like, yes, once you have played or even completed Tunic, when you walk through the first era, you're like, wow, how did I not see any of this shit before?
Yeah, totally. It's like there's like a secret language that the game is speaking, and until you play enough of it, you're not privy to it. And I think that's like, I don't know. There is an element of the game that I find abrasive, and it's probably my only criticism with Void Stranger. And it's, if you look at the Steam reviews, it's the only reason that people
it's all
are
the hentai, is it? It's just all
there's a lot of tentacles in it.
Yeah. Frank's eyes just opened.
It's in order to reach what I gather is like a true ending, it requires an incredible amount of like hardcore dedication.
It's like the second time you've had this problem. Wasn't there a game during Game of the Year that like had the exact same issue? Or was that Jesse? There was somebody who had a thing where they were like, my only thing about this game is that to get the true ending, you have to do all this backbreaking.
Oh, Chains of Sonar is what I was talking about.
That's what it was, yes.
Okay, so this is different in the sense that, how do I even talk about this? It's like... Yeah. I won't. It's like it demand when you play the game initially, you can like fuck up and make mistakes and learn from it. And then when you're trying to reach the true ending, the game is like, all right, no more messing up. Now you have to play perfect if you want to do this. And if you don't play perfect, then we will severely punish you. And it reaches a point where I just don't think I'm good enough at Sokoban to maybe see the true ending, but I'm going to keep trying. I mean, I've played 10 hours and I adore this game, so.
Excellent. Void Stranger, available on Steam for $11.99. Nice work. Looks pretty cool. Lots of positive reviews for it. 760 positive reviews. Came out September 1st of last year. So still pretty fresh, even though it's a 2023 game. I want to give a quick late shout out to all of our Battle Pass holders who I completely forgot, even though I did the list right before we started the podcast. Forgot to mention them. Thanks we got some new names here too. Thank you very much. Harry Flanagan. Welcome, Harry Flanagan. Welcome as well. Welcome back. Happy 2024 to Battle Royale games. Arno, Richard Matherson, James Brown, Jason Drury, Mark Rojas, Ryan Cobb, Tucker Morgan, Crimson Cyclist, Sven Huster, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Cameron Ladd, Alex Sharp, Alex Goucher, George Dakotas, Jacob Godserve, Tohir Teliev, and Ryson. Thank you all so much for supporting us over at patreon.com/noclip. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but we are doing an absurd amount of content in 2024. Hot content open your mouths. It's coming. We can't wait to share it with you. We have some documentaries we're finishing up at the moment. Some big old stuff from 2023 that we're wrapping. We are filming our first doc of the year next week. We have also secured a massive multi-part series on one of the biggest games of the past 5 years, let's say, that we're going to be filming as well this year. We're doing a bunch of retrospectives. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out, or that came out 25 and 20 years ago that we're looking at. Games like Unreal Tournament, games like Quake 3. I know we've already done multiple Half-Life things, but Half-Life 2 does also turn 20 years this year. And loads more as well. So we've bunches coming, and that's to say nothing of our plans for No Clip Crew, which we'll get into a little bit later in this podcast. Frank Howley, perhaps unsurprisingly, you are still playing, perhaps laying the bed, watering the mouth, preparing your physical body for the infinite wealth that is about to impact our American shores in just a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, you have been playing Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the man who erased his name. How far are you into it now, and how are you enjoying it?
I'm on the final chapter, which I was able to get to in like 16 hours. So the reason why this game is awesome is because it's like, it's a Yakuza you can beat in under 20 hours. I think the only other one that is probably the first one, Yakuza Kiwami. All of the others are like 40 hours plus, but they're all delightful, but they're games I will play over a year. Right. This was released as kind of a side story, like kind of closing the book on the Yakuza series and then passing the buck to the Like a Dragon series. So yeah, the fact that Infinite Wealth comes out in a few weeks, it's like, well, okay, there's motivation there to play it. I've been existing in this horrible cold world. It's been hard to like be motivated to play video games because video games are only something I want to play when I have peace of mind and I'm so stressed and there's too much crap to do. I'm starting to feel closer to normal, but like I don't know, it sounds weird. It's very bittersweet, but like one benefit, one nice thing that happened is like my dad passed and it was, it's been horrible, but he left behind like a 78-inch like insane TV that he got during quarantine. It was like his COVID purchase. Like, I can't go out. Let me, and I helped him.
What did he use it for? He would watch like trashy romance movies on Netflix.
Hell yeah.
He would watch like YouTube videos. I don't know. Like I taught him how to use apps and stuff. I think he learned how to use HBO Max, but like so he would watch like stream Netflix, but like it was just random ass movies. So I don't know. So but
amazing. It's a good thing as well. I feel like it's the type of thing it could have been a situation where he had like a 50-inch like or 60-inch like plasma or something like that. You would have needed 15 people to move to a different house. So it was somewhat flat screen. 78.
Yeah, 78 inches.
Absurd.
That's a movie theater.
I remember it was his quarantine purchase. Like, well, screw it. Yeah. So I've never actually played. This is the biggest TV I've ever played a video game on.
How close are you sitting?
I'm on a couch, but like it's like IMAX. It's pretty, but that's how my dad watched TV. So it's kind of cool. It's like full UHD, whatever HDR stuff. I have like a very basic Roku TV, TLC, whatever the like budget brand is. So it's not real HDR. So Yakuza looks great on. I've yet to like play like, I don't know, games that take advantage of it. I'm eager to spin up Alan Wake. I got Red Dead Remaster or whatever, just so I can, I don't know, check it out. So it's exhilarating playing games again, and been kind of my way of relaxing. And then the other like part of it is like I'm hoping to go to Japan in March. Yeah, so by playing a Yakuza game, it's like, oh my God, like I know when I'm gonna like I even do it now when I watch movies or YouTube videos. I'm like, oh my God, this looks just like Yakuza. So I'm excited to hopefully go to Japan, see all the sites and all the the homages that
you've earned a vacation with the past couple of months you've had for sure. And you've never been to Japan, right? That'll be your first time.
Yeah, it'll be my first time.
Frank Howley in Japan. That's a mini series right there. That's class. What are you most looking forward to doing over there? Like, what's on your like bucket list?
Yeah, so like, I mean, going to Japan was always a thing. Like, that sounds good. But yeah, over the last year, I got addicted to, I guess, indie wrestling in general, women's wrestling, Japanese women's wrestling. There's two promotions: Stardom, which is like very like tough and strong, and very like dead or alive. Like the girls are like extremely hot and they know it. There's another promotion called TJPW, Tokyo Joshi Pro, which is a little bit more like idol J-pop, cute and theatrical. Right. So it's way less like sexualized. It's like cuter but like even wholesome. Like they straight up will do J-pop dance performances in the ring. So I'm gonna go see Stardom and TJPW. Both are happening the same week around my birthday. So I might get a few friends to come out with me. So, and then beyond that, like, I don't know, regular Japan stuff, like, Akihabara, things like that. They're taking down the Gundam statue. Like, there's a giant Gundam. Yeah. They're removing it. So my friend, so my friend's obsessed with Gundam. So we'll go see that. There's like the hill that Initial D is based on.
You're kidding. Is there actually, does that exist?
Yeah.
the fabled hill, Mountain Drive or whatever. Yeah.
So like there's a lot to do.
So you're going to drive down that in a
drift the whole way.
Yeah, in an A6. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million things to do. And if people have suggestions, let me know. But honestly, just walking around, again, I'm really interested in the wrestling culture. So like the venue is Carrick Hall. There's like wrestling like thrift stores where people just sell wrestling memorabilia. Also just the like reselling culture in Japan is so high, like used bookstores, used games, all that stuff. So, but I'm hoping, to come back again. So it'll be a nice like introductory trip. So hopefully it all goes well.
Hell yeah. Nice. And in the meantime, you'll have Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth to keep you busy.
Yeah.
It's coming out in just a couple of weeks' time. A couple more games before we jump into what else is coming out this year. This has been on Apple Arcade, I think, for a while, but I got way into it. I was on the airplane to Ireland, and I was about to take off, and there was a kid across from me. I shouldn't say kid. He was like 19 or something. Across from me, and he was playing like a little sports game, like a little football, like American football game where it was all pixelated, and he was like pulling back to like do the quarterback moves. And I just quickly, like, the plane is like taxiing and I'm running, internet's about to go, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I went into Apple, the App Store or whatever, and typed in like NFL something or other, and then immediately this game came up, which I'm pretty sure is incredibly popular, called Retro Bowl. And it is a game, I'm playing Retro Bowl Plus, which is the sort of Apple Arcade no ads version of it. I'm actually not sure if I can start a game without having to like play a bunch of it, just for the folks on the YouTube side. But this is what it looks like. It's like a top down, you tap the guy to do a run play, or you can pull back on the quarterback to try and do
that's cool.
Pass, and then incomplete. didn't get intercepted, so that's all right. So I got the Houston Texans to win the Super Bowl twice in a row, so that was pretty fun. I got super addicted to it. I played it like almost the entire flight there and back. It was like my go-to on the plane, just to listen to podcasts and play some Retro Bowl. So I know we don't talk about phone games all that much, but I played a bunch of that. Also played a game called Turmoil, which is like an oil baron game. You like dig under the ground and you have to try and make things not collapse, and then you sell the oil and stuff. I played that for a good while. I fell off that one a little bit, but that was another decent one. The other game we have written down here, which I'm fascinated by, so I've been trying to get Jeremy to play Resident Evil 7 for about 2 years now, and here he is playing Resident Evil 5. Fuck you doing, son?
Okay, can I drop the hottest take ever?
Okay. So, no.
I'm okay.
You're playing a co-op?
Yes, I am playing.
Okay,
co-op.
So now it makes sense. Okay,
yeah,
maybe
that feeds into what I'm about to say. I will qualify after the fact why this controversial, brave opinion of mine is surfacing now. I am playing in tandem. I'm finishing the Resident Evil 4 remake, but I'm also playing Resident Evil 5 co-op right now. I've never played Resident Evil 5, and the reason why is Resident Evil 4 was like top 5 most formative games of my youth. I loved that game. It's the reason I bought a GameCube. I like played it at I would like bike to my friend's house in the snow to play that. Like I loved that game.
Uphill
so
both ways.
Uphill both ways, 100 miles. And then Resident Evil 5 came out, and everyone was like, "This game sucks. This game is like so bad. It's like a bad sequel." And so I just drank the Kool-Aid. I was like, that game's bad. I'm not gonna play a bad game, especially if it's a follow-up to a good game that I like love. You know what I mean? Like, what if the next Star Wars movie comes out and everyone says it sucks? Maybe I just won't see it because I love Star Wars and want to preserve my memory. So I never played Resident Evil 5. It's fucking awesome. It's really fun. It's not a bad game. I don't know why I internalized that it was bad. It is, however, exceedingly racist.
It's
but
quite racist. It's
there's a lot of like Zulu tribesmen going on. They're jumping around and making
just
all
a general
sorts of,
like dehumanization of an entire people. Like, what if zombies, but they're not actually zombies? They're just Africans.
Yeah,
like,
they're just people from Africa.
They're just people from Africa, and they're kind of just going crazy.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if it's like a Black Hawk Down situation where like the Black Hawk Down shows this like all of, also a movie with a lot of like baked in racism, but a movie that omits the sociopolitical context of why those people are so mad.
People in Mogadishu are just fucking crazy. I don't know what's wrong with them. Like, just wait. We're handing the bread down. We're handing the flour. Just be patient.
It's been a few years since I read about this, but if I recall correctly, in the event that directly precedes the events of Black Hawk Down that they don't talk about in the movie is that there was a UN organized peacekeeping meeting between a bunch of the factions in that war, and the United States like mistakenly bombed a UN organized peacekeeping meeting. So, I mean, like, I wonder why all those people are so mad at us. Yeah, I wonder why they're killing our boys who need to be back home with their families.
That is a very astute thing to bring up, though, in the sort of 2009 era or whatever, when this game came out, because this game does have that same like high contrast, like almost monochromatic color. Like in Black Hawk Down, it's mostly green, I feel like, or like yellow, but like Resident Evil is a very yellow game, isn't it? It's very like.
Oh, there are parts of it that look like Breaking Bad Mexico. Yeah. Like I keep being like, oh, am I in? Is this where we like cook the meth?
Are you playing it on PC?
I am playing it on PC.
When I replayed it, there's a mod that like gets rid of like the Xbox 360 piss mod. Filter, and it's like
really
it like complete. I should pull it up for you because I revisited it and I played it without the like screwed up colors, and it looks great. I think
it's just white balance.
Yeah, it looks good. I think because I've also played it on the PS4 remaster, and I think when they put out that remaster, they fixed the colors. But the PC version is like the Windows for Live. It's like you can play it on Steam, but it boots up. It's such an old version. But because I've had the Resident Evil 5 conversation a lot. Resident Evil 5 I loved because I think at the time I didn't finish Resident Evil 4 because my GameCube broke. So I was like, I finally got to experience Resident Evil 4 with Resident Evil 5. But I think everyone who didn't like RE5, I suspect they didn't co-op it. I think if you play that game single player, Shiva or your partner or whatever eats all your ammo, eats all your herbs. You're constantly having to like give them. It's like having to deal with Ashley the entire game. It sucks. But if you're playing it with a friend, it is. Yeah, I think one of my probably top 3 co-op games of all time. Maybe my favorite. I can't think of anything. Yeah, like WoW isn't technically co-op, although maybe it could be. It is, but yeah, RE5 is like up there as one of the best like multiplayer games of all time.
It's really fun. It's like the there's something about that style of combat, especially because this is where it gets controversial. I'm also playing Resident Evil 4 Remake, and one of the most profound two of the most profound changes that they made from the original Resident Evil 4 is when you stop and aim in Resident Evil 4 and 5, you cannot move when you're aiming the gun, right? In Resident Evil 4 Remake, you can move while you're aiming the gun.
Right.
Which is much more in keeping with like sort of contemporary third-person shooters. The other thing that they add is they add a crosshair in Resident Evil 4 Remake, which, listen, these are very reasonable quality of life things. I think if they did not add them, people would be upset. But there is something about having to completely stop to aim and make your stand that I absolutely love. And so whenever I'm playing the Resident Evil 4 Remake now, and part of this is that I'm playing Resident Evil 5 co-op, and part of it is nostalgia, and part of it is that I'm a mentally ill person who just loves old games. I keep just thinking about Resident Evil 5. I'm playing like this objectively like perfect Resident Evil remake of 4, one of the best games of all time and one of the best remakes, and I just want to play Resident Evil 5. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's so good.
Something happens, man. 15 years after a game comes out, the revisionism just... No, I'm kidding. I checked
the Wikipedia for the reviews because I was like, did this game get review bombed? The reviews are like not bad at all.
Yeah,
I thought this game was like panned. I don't know why.
Six is the one.
The one that absolutely sucks. Yeah.
6 is.
I have played a lot of 6 as well.
We're gonna have to wait about 600 years for the Resident Evil 6 revisionism to come on in. I think the thing. I think it's just impossible to make a sequel to 4. Like it had such a. Like it did so much for that genre. It was ahead of its time. It was on a console people really liked. Like people who were GameCube fans really like were were, you know, they were trying to do some shit there, like all, you know, Beautiful Joe and all those like Ico and Shadow Colossus and like, well, no, Shadow was PlayStation, sorry. But like the Capcom 4 was what they were? Am I making this
like
up?
the Capcom 5, yeah,
5, and yeah, there was just some cool shit on there. And then 5 was Gears of War, Resident Evil to a lot of people. It was like, oh, you've just like you've westernized this beyond, like now it's straight up just like pulpy shooter stuff. But obviously, yeah, it was still a really well put together game. Yeah,
it does get away from a lot of the things that I love. Like, listen, it's not my favorite Resident Evil game by any stretch of the imagination, because what Resident Evil to me is you're in like a dark, creepy mansion. It's
Right.
it's about atmosphere. It's about like ammo conservation in a very different way, where it's not about like making your last stand with your last clip in your pistol. It's about leaving the safe room and you're like, I only have enough ammo to make like a short run out there. I hope I find something.
And in fairness to 5, like games like, I think Nemesis is more actiony than the vast majority of them.
Yeah,
Code Veronica, like there are resis that were like 4 was kind of weirdly throwbackish to 1 and 2, like just in terms of, I mean, we talked in the thing, I haven't played Into the Castle and all that shit, but the first chapter at least was very much like set piece room. Like, okay, we're here now. And then these are the rules are very limited and this is what you have to do. Whereas 5 does feel a lot more like next, you know, it's more of a shooter, I guess.
Yeah, it's so like it really is funny because in Resident Evil 4, playing the remake, I forgot how much kind of like, you're right, there's like periods of like emptiness between the combat arenas that give you a chance to breathe. Resident Evil 5 is like, you're in a room and there's 1,000 dudes and one of them has a chainsaw, and then it ends and it's like, here's how accurate you were, and then immediately it's like, you're in another room and there's like flying like it's just it's like combat arena stat screen. It's so relentless, but like, I don't know, especially for like a co-op experience, because I feel like when you're playing a co-op game, it's a little bit harder to get into those atmospheric moments where you're like feeling alone in this mansion and like feeling the oppressive nature of it. Resident Evil, I just want to like blast shit and scream when the chainsaw guy comes, you know? It's awesome.
I was gonna say it was extremely fun when it came out back in the 360 days, because like I think I had maybe like 6 to 8 friends who all had it. So like people were constantly dropping in and out of different games. Like, I'll play this level with you, because you're constantly grinding the points and upgrading your weapons, and it was like an infinitely replayable game. Like that was one of the first games where I try to get all the achievements and S ranking it and all that stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know. RE5 is so like, it's making me want to pull out my PS4 copy and finish those trophies before. Who knows if a remake will come out, but. Yeah, it's very.
We should do a video of this on Crew on something, especially with 5, especially with the 5 remake being next. Like, we sort of talked around it a little bit during the Game of the Year stuff, but yeah, man, now I want to go give Resi 5 a go again. See,
yes,
I haven't played it since it came out,
so it's so good. I can't believe how good it is. I can't help myself when I'm playing it. I keep just going, I'm having so much fun right now. Like, I just that phrase keeps coming out of my mouth like an involuntary knee-jerk.
Enjoying this? Should I be enjoying this?
I'm shocked.
Well, I do have a new game plus clear of that. So if you do need help, I can drop in with my max weapons and goofy costumes.
Yeah, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. We should do a Crew video where we just play that whole game on New Game Plus.
That was some of the games we played this week. We'll get some emails in a hot second. Podcast at noclip.video. You can head over to noclip.video/contact. And actually, no, don't do that. That will go to the wrong email address. That's a whole other thing. People were sending me all over the fucking place different names for awards we did for the Game of the Year. And I don't know, and they're all over. I can't find half of them. They're all, some of them are on Discord, some of them are on Patreon messages. Some just were on the subreddit. Some were I'm sure in the comments of the video. Actually, I should probably look in there. That's probably the place to have a little look. I'm gonna we're not gonna relitigate this too much, but I just want to let's go through the awards and just see how we feel about them. First of all, okay, it's been a couple weeks, right? We've had a sort of bit of time away from it. Slayers X, of course, got the Zane Lofton Lifetime Achievement Award, which I think we all feel great about.
That one's perfect.
Final Fantasy 16 got Best AMV. Resident Evil Remake, Master of Remaking. Typecast got Stroke of Genius Award. Homebody, Closest to Home. Blasphemous 2, Catholic Guilty Pleasure. Bit wordy. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, Best Dreamcast Game. Little thumbs up emoji. Thumbs up, ASCII face. Dave the Diver, Hidden Depth Award. Baldur's Gate 3 Best Immersive Sim. Midnight Suns, Marvel vs. XCOM Award, and Alan Wake 2 got the boldest flavor after a very passionate discourse. But there were some suggestions here. I'm just trying to pull up a couple of them. Home run is what you should call the typecast category.
Because home row is like where you rest your fingers on the keyboard, right?
Yeah, the home row.
That's pretty good. I feel like home row is that a reference that's like Danny, do you know that reference, or is that like a Americans learning typing in school kind of thing?
I think maybe it came up when I initially went to like an IT class and they were trying to teach us how to type, and I had already learned how to type. But when I said the word, it sounded homophobic. It sounded like I was saying something else.
A homosexual?
A home. Yeah, I don't want to say it, but home row, home run could sound like a hate crime. So that for me, that's why I'm not, picking a baseball
and for that,
bat.
I'm out.
For that, I'm out. Bloody Fingers Award was another one somebody said.
That is accurate.
Typecast. We had I personally adore Alan Wake 2, but the crew's issues with the back half of the story, I would have gone with Pulp Friction.
Oh, that's really good.
It is. Davey FX with that one.
Oh, that's brilliant. The only problem is that because the awards are like highlighting the best games of the year, that one perfectly expresses my feelings, but I don't think it's like if you put that on a trophy and gave it to someone, they'd be like, what is this for?
Pulp Friction. Yeah.
It's like a critical trophy.
It is a little bit. Yeah. Boldest flavor at least is ambiguous.
Yeah.
We're not sure, but it's so good. It's such a good.
That's way too good.
I'm not Matt VA 55 says I find myself screaming suggesting as Home Alone. Oh no, as Home Alone. Blasphemous 2 should be best Cathlovania game. Cathlovania doesn't like not quite. Somebody else did another Blasphemous one, which I really liked. I can't find it now though. We have another poker related one for Midnight Suns, I believe. This one coming in from Cal Dawins saying pre-flop Full House. I don't know what a pre-flop. I guess before the flop. So is the flop with the river card is the last one. What's the flop?
The flop is the first 3 in Texas Hold'em, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Pre-flop.
Can you have a Full House pre-flop? I don't. It's been a while since I guess. Poker.
Yeah. Good point.
I like the effort though, and I like the card theming because that was where I was trying way too hard. I tried for like 20 minutes to come up with a card related metaphor.
Yeah, we ran into a lot of trouble with that one. There was, I'm trying to see in the comments, was there any more? There was one of Blasphemous 2 that was very good. That was a little bit less. It was a Catholic. There it is. I found it. StarCraft Zero on YouTube said for Blasphemous 2 it could be Catholic Guilt Trip.
That's pretty good.
Which is pretty good because that's like I had Catholic Guilty Pleasure, which sounds a bit. I don't know. Guilt trip. I guess.
Because it does feel like you're like on a voyage throughout that game.
Yeah. I'm gonna put that underneath it as a maybe an alternative to that one.
Okay,
that's pretty good. Yes, I can't imagine the feeling that people have watching this, listening to these podcasts, and coming up with way better names. Kana Games 4351 on YouTube says typecast could be Keyboard Warrior. Did that come up already? Did we?
No, that was the first one I suggested after we revisited it because I thought it was people like doing discourse on the internet are called keyboard warriors derogatorily.
Yeah. So they also said that. Marvel Midnight Suns call it Past Midnight because it was from 2022. Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
There was another one. It was like Mist Marvel.
Oh yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah, I think that was in our Discord. Mist Marvel.
You're right. I did see that one. Mist Marvel. That's very good.
That is
good. What else we got? Any more?
I liked this one for Baldur's Gate. Someone said Boldest Gate, GAIT. It's pretty good.
A lot of people liked the Baldur's Gate one. That was good that they liked it. Best immersive sim or most immersive sim. Some people were saying we should have gone with, which I think was on the table. Yeah, some great. So X Complicated somebody did for Midnight Suns. That's pretty good. X Complicated. That's nice. Yes. So those are our awards. Let's see what games are going to be on this year's game of the year. Shall we have a look at some of the games that are coming out in 2024, gentlemen?
Yeah, let's do it.
Give it a go. Okay. I'm just straight up going from the Wikipedia page here. So I'm going to list them out. You guys let me know what you think about some of these if you're excited for them. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown is out on the 18th, which is next week, which I believe is it the 2D Prince of Persia one they showed?
Yeah, it's like a Castlevania.
Castlevania, is it? Yeah. Looking forward to that. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is coming out the day after that, which makes me feel like I'm 50. The fact that game is... Didn't I just play that? I don't know. I guess they're trying to it's like the Criterion. It's like somebody has OCD for making things fit in boxes. It's like, oh, shit, well, we fixed the last one. Now we have to do the new one again. And then
it feels to me like they're doing like a Last of Us 2 3-month anniversary edition. Like it's it's too soon. Like it's an absurd soon.
Yeah, I who knows? I might just use that as an excuse to replay The Last of Us. I have a hankering for some of those. I want to replay The Last of Us Part 2, and I want to replay Red Dead Redemption 2. Those are the two that I've had in my head. What else we got this month? Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Tekken 8 coming out hand in hand. That Brian Cox trailer for Tekken 8.
It's really good.
Have we all watched it now?
Yeah.
I could not stop laughing.
It's so good. I just love how I don't know anything about Brian Cox other than I've seen him in some movies. And I just love how listening to him in that video specifically is what made it click for me that he's a Shakespearean actor. And I didn't even have to look it up. I was just like, oh, this dude is like that's like King Lear talking Tekken.
Yeah, it's if you haven't seen it, it's like a 5-minute lore breakdown on Tekken. Like here's what everything you need to know about the lore of Tekken. But they have the actor Brian Cox, who people probably these days mostly know from Succession, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it, but he does it so self-aware. Like he's just like, and then in an act of great irony, he himself throws his father off a mountain. And even the editing is like they're taking the piss out of Tekken lore.
Yeah.
They're totally on board with it, which I.
But
really
also
appreciate.
Elevating it to like it.
Yes.
I've never felt. I don't know anything about Tekken lore, but listening to it, I was like, is Tekken like Shakespearean? Because I feel like this is like classy. I feel like I'm classing up the joint by having Brian Cox do it.
Incredible, like definitely one of the best, because it totally rings true with the core audience and like people who do not give a fuck about Tekken 8, myself included. I was like, this is great. I might play Tekken 8 now. Who knows?
Same.
Really good. We have into February then, pretty slow month. There's a lot of games coming out, but I'm going to skip over ones that don't. Like, I'm sorry, like BlazBlue, Entropy Effect, and there's a game here called Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash, or Cursed, I guess. Cursed sounds cool though, which I'm going to skip over. And The Legend of Legacy HD Remastered, which an AI surely has just made that game up.
That's made up.
There's no fucking way that's a real game. The Legend of Legacy HD Remastered. There's two redundant words there. The Legend of Legacy Legend and Legacy feel almost the same, and HD Remastered.
I need to know what it is now. Okay, it's
Legend?
like a chibi RPG. The art style is very cute.
It looks like a Nintendo DS game.
Yeah, it does. I think it is a 3DS game.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry to all the fans of Legend of Legacy and its various remasters. We do have Helldivers 2 coming out on the 8th. Are you excited for that, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Anything else to say?
I was looking at pictures of Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 I haven't followed at all, which is why I was looking it up before I weighed in. I played the shit out of Helldivers 1 and loved it. Helldivers 2 is taking the like top-down shooter approach and translating it into like an over-the-shoulder thing from what I gather. But it's one of those games that like I'm gonna play regardless of how it's reviewed because I loved the first one. So I kind of just been staying in the dark on it, but the first one was great fun. There was one of my favorite memories of E3 Judges Week was me, Maxwell McGee, and Sean McGinnis were playing the original Helldivers at like a press event, and everyone had left the floor, so it was like a totally empty showroom, and we were playing, and everyone had like gone to the bar and was drinking heavily, and we were laughing so hard and screaming at the game so hard that everyone migrated back into the room to watch us play, and I feel like that's a sign of a good party game. Is like
that's very cool,
getting loud.
The Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered starring Lara Croft, which is a very interesting way of naming a video game. Those are the remakes that I believe Aspyr are putting together for Square. Those are out on the 14th of February. Happy Valentine's Day to Lara Croft. Skull and Bones is out on the 16th, apparently. See about that. The game's been in development somewhere for the best part of 10 years at this stage, so I'm not sure if that means it's early access or not, but we'll see it then. A game I'm very excited to play, Pacific Drive, which I played at PAX West. That is coming out on the 22nd of February. Any other bits and bobs?
There was Persona 3 comes out like the first week of February. So the giant JRPG Infinite Wealth comes out, and then a week later another giant JRPG.
Do you think they took out the shooting themselves in the head? They had to leave that in, right?
I hope it's.
I hope not. That's like what makes the game iconic. So
that's true, and I mean, not to get into names of shows we have for No Clip Crew or anything, but we're all fans of that. Let's just keep going. Everything else in February, I can't tell, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out as well. The Outlast Trials is the 5th of March. We also have Homeworld 3 coming out March 8th. Well, I wonder if some of these will slip. That Alone in the Dark, the new one's coming out March 20th. Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming out on the 22nd. And that looks like it for March. We're starting getting slim pickings now as we go into the rest of the year. Kind of a shocking amount of shockingly few games have dates. Then we have a lot of games that don't have dates. In April we have that Braid Anniversary Edition, which is another game. It feels like it's been waiting to come out forever. The Anniversary Edition looks like they've done a decent amount of work to Braid on this one, which seems pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that one. I like Braid. Black Myth Wukong, that game coming out of China, it looks super sick. Is coming out August 20th. And then the only other game I have here that have a firm date in the year is Warhammer 40k Space Marine, which is coming out on September 9th. So we'll see about that. Is that the third person? I'm trying to remember. I think that's not the one that's like a CRPG, is it?
No, I think it's the one that's like,
if it's Space Marine. No, it's a sequel to Space Marine, I guess. So it's third person. Yeah, I think I played the last one, I think. And then other games coming out this year, in order of letter that they start with, I guess. Angerfoot, which I enjoyed the demo of. Animal Well, another great indie game. That's the one being published by Big Mode. What else do we have here? Anything else standing out to you guys? Just while I'm flicking through this.
There's a Clock Tower like remaster or remake coming out. They announced forever ago. So I've never played any of the Clock Tower series, but hopefully that's cool.
We have Frostpunk 2. Frostpunk was a game I was perpetually coming back to. I don't think I ever properly played as much of that game as I wanted to.
I loved Frostpunk.
Yeah.
Frostpunk is one of those games that like you beat it in a single run that's only 5-6 hours, but you have to play the game like 2 or 3 times to do a proper run.
Right.
And I don't know. I kind of like it's not a roguelike, it's like a strategy colony sim kind of game, but there's something about it that's very like feels like a vintage, like an old school PC game from like the late 90s or something.
Yeah, super I just love the setup of the world. Like it's just freezing fucking cold, and like heat is such a an important. As I said that, there was a wind that howled up past my house. Such an important
haptic feedback.
Resource. Exactly. That Lollipop Chainsaw remaster thing is coming out. Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, which always seemed weird to me that they went back and just made another numbered one of those. Like I thought they were just going to use 2020 as like the one they put out in 2020, Microsoft Flight Sim as like the basis for it. But I guess they will be re-rolling it. I think all the stuff you bought, all the add-ons you bought for the first game carry over into this one. I think everything does, maybe. I'm not quite sure, but that's coming out this year. So is Mugenics, the Edmund Macmillan game, which again has been in development for seemingly 15 fucking years, but himself and Tyler decided to really start working on it proper about 3 years ago, and it's changed genre a few times, I think, but looks like it's coming out. Octopath Traveler 2 is coming out, as is Stalker 2. I think there's still a date for Q1 for that, but I can't see that happening. We should definitely do a Stalker doc this year, even if it's just a retrospective.
Yeah.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is apparently still coming out this year. We shall see. That has jumped developer a few times. Obviously, Mitsoda was taken off. I think Heartsuit was taken off. There's a lot of stuff happened there. I'm sure that was a fun development cycle that we won't hear about. The Wolf Among Us 2 still has a date. I'm trying to remember. Was there some stuff happening with Telltale? The new Telltale thing, I don't really understand what's going on there, but apparently it's coming out. So it was World of Goo 2. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking World of Goo. That is a real throwback. 2008. World of Goo. And I think that's all we have for now.
I got a couple other little
yeah?
gems. Well, a few gems and one questionable one. Little Nightmares 3 is coming out. The Little Nightmares games are kind of like cutesy, spooky, cute, like horror games. This one has co-op. I'm excited to check that out. Kick Bastards just came out. Kind of a speedrunning first-person game. The dev sent me a code. I've been playing it this week, and it's really fun. Kind of like very different flavor, but Neon White adjacent.
I played this. Yeah, I played the maybe a demo of it at one stage. Yeah,
it's fun. It's very snackable. Like Neon White. I almost said Neon Demon. Metaphor Fantasio. I don't know how you say this game, but it's the creators of Persona 3, 4, and 5 are doing another like new IP. That looks really good. Nine Souls, SOLS, is coming out this year. That's by Red Candle.
Red Candle. That's the crowd in Taiwan, is it?
Yeah, they did Devotion and Detention, two horror games that I really, really like. But this is a Sekiro-inspired 2D action platformer. Looks really, really interesting.
I wonder if there'll be some Xi Jinping or any
Winnie the Pooh memes.
Winnie the Pooh memes stuck into this one.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. And then the Bloober Team Silent Hill 2 remake is supposed to come out this year. I don't hate Bloober Team or anything, but Silent Hill 2 is just like such a sacred game.
I feel like the Silent Hill fandom and Blooper Team is a toxic relationship that needs to end.
Yes.
Like it's just all I see is people like just the disappointment and frustration that exists there is like it's like the opposite of it's like the nega of a healthy fan relationship. It's just like for whatever reason, you know what I mean? It's just they need to break up, and that's it. Like, I don't know how that happens, but people either got to break up from Silent Hill, or Bloober Team's going to break up from Silent Hill. But somebody has to do it. Somebody has to just stop caring.
I think the least likely outcome is that they release a Silent Hill 2 remake that people are like, "Oh my god, they did it! They pulled it off." I would love for that to happen. I will be very surprised if that happens. I'm way more excited for Silent Hill F, which is I don't think has a release date yet. But that's the one.
Is that the porno? Is
it? Yeah, no, it's the one with like all the mushrooms and stuff and like the little I don't know how to describe it. I feel like that's good enough. That'll probably get you it on Google.
Silent Hill fucks. I want to see. Oh yeah, look at that Silent Hill F. I think I totally missed this trailer.
Oh, it's a really good trailer.
An F, like a lowercase F, like a little. Okay,
it's like an F, like an F hole on a violin.
Oh yeah, this trailer is fucking creepy.
This also, I gather, has some of some ex Resident Evil devs on it as well. So I'm psyched for this.
Silent Hill F. There you go. Okay, then we got there's a couple I missed as well. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League coming out. That and Star Wars Outlaws. I feel like they're both IPs that people do not care about anymore. We'll have to see, but 2023 was not great for some of that stuff. As we talked about in the Game of the Year stuff. Senua Saga Hellblade 2 also coming out next year. So is Avowed.
Oh yeah,
our chums down at Obsidian. So that'll be cool to see. I'm excited to see what direction they've taken that thing in. Sort of like it's like they're like, yeah, well, you know, Bethesda, you want to make Fallout games? We'll just make a fucking Elder Scrolls game. How about that?
In the world of Pillars of Eternity.
Is it actually?
It is. I didn't know that until this moment. Yeah, I think that actually just got me more interested.
That's dope. Yeah, I mean that's very reductive, but it's for my part, it was very. But to say that, but it does seem like they're taking it in a much different direction, like sort of less wide, more dense is kind of the thing. I think, which that's pretty. I think that's a good idea. I think that's it. The Destiny 2 Final Shape stuff's coming out pretty soon, I think, which I think just wraps up Destiny 2, I think, if I'm not wrong. And then is Marathon coming out this year, maybe? I don't know. That's presumably going to be an online mostly thing. The Plucky Squire is coming out this year. That's a game I think everyone fucking wants to play. That thing looks cool. That's just a cutie little... If you've not seen the trailer for that, Jeremy, that's a...
Oh, this is the book one, right?
Yeah, it's like 2D, 3D. It's like...
Yeah.
It's wild. Looks really cool.
Yeah, this looks awesome.
And then Open Roads. I saw trailers for this. I can't remember what it is, though. Annapurna game, Open Roads. Looked cool. Tell me if you've heard this before. Annapurna making a game that kind of looks cool.
What?
Oh, that's got a cool look to it. Maybe I'll
Next
play
you're
that
going to tell
game.
me it has like an emotionally heartstring tugging story.
Yeah. No, you're right. It does. Yeah. It says it right there. It's got the Steam tag. Emotional story.
I called it. Shot called.
Shit. Unbelievable. So those are some games that are coming out. But as we all know, by the end of the year, it's often games we didn't see coming that end up being some of our favorites. So keep your ears to the ground.
Oh, I got one more.
That podcast. What you got?
Hollow Body, one of the survival horror games
starring Kevin Bacon.
Very similar name to Homebody as well. Hollow Body is a survival horror game by Headwear Games, creator of Chasing Static, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that. Yeah, Chasing Static. Hollow Body looks incredible. Inspired by I've been chatting with the dev in DMs a little bit. And inspired by like Kuon and Silent Hill 2.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It looks unbelievable.
Look at that. It's in a long abandoned British city.
It is like a post Brexit survival horror game, is what I have seen people describe it as.
That's great. Love it. Hollow Body. Go check it out. Hollow Body. I guess we can call it. Hollow Body. All right, there you go. Some video games. Talking about video games we played recently. We talked about some video games that are coming out in the future. Do we have some podcasts, emails, and stuff like that, Mr. Frank?
Yeah, there's two quick ones. One is a question for the pod. This is from Liam. Question for the pod. Do any of you have your own video game OSTs on vinyl? And if you have multiple, which one's your favorite?
Point at large vinyl collection behind me. That was like almost a setup, Frank. Jesus Christ. Before I ramble, do any of you guys have vinyl?
The one, it's so funny. There was maybe like a few years where I was collecting vinyl. Like I'd go to concerts and pick them up. But in terms of video game vinyl, when I was at Mega 64, they sent us like Persona 4 and Persona 5 like remix albums on vinyl, which when I looked up on Discogs, they go for a lot. But I like Persona, so I'm holding on to them. But that's the only video game related vinyl I have. I guess Anna Monoguchi is kind of video game related. I have
that counts.
Dawn Metropolis, which at some point they reprinted, but for a while that was also like an extremely out of print rare record I have. I'll collect. Oh, my dad. I was going through his record collection. What is it? West Side Story. Got that on vinyl.
Hell yeah, yeah, great video game. They should make a West Side Story. They should get whoever made the Warriors to make a West Side Story.
I think wasn't that a Rockstar game?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I love that game.
Crazy. Any Jeremy?
I had got a very nice gift from the Supergiant folks after we concluded the series, and they gave me a bunch of their soundtracks on vinyl. I think those are the only video game ones I don't have a ton of vinyl. I don't have a record player of my own, but I used to live in a house with one until a couple years ago. Mostly like William Basinski and Aphex Twin is most of my vinyl.
Nice. Yeah, most of my actual vinyl is either metal or dance music. It's either like EPs and stuff. Yeah, I don't know when I got into maybe right around start No Clip, I think it was, because what happened was I got a couple of vinyls and I don't know which were the original ones. I think the first one I ever got, which was also a real like, oh, if they had told me they were sending this, I would have said no, but it just turned up situation, was Rockstar randomly sent me when I worked at GameSpot. I don't know what the fuck I did about Grand Theft Auto. I think I did a video about world design on The Point or something, and they randomly sent me the GTA 5 OST, which is like 6 vinyls. It's fucking huge. It's like 6 vinyls. And I love Tangerine Dream.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I was like, oh, I have to pick this up, or I have to get like a record player or something. And then I got a couple, I forget what happened. Like there was one or two more got sent in, or I said something about having a vinyl. And then I became the guy at the office where if you got a vinyl, just give it to Danny because people didn't have record players. So like Gerstmann gave me a bunch of vinyls. Then whenever there was like a vinyl sent in with like an unboxing, it just got brought to my desk. So I accumulated this like maybe 15, 20 video game vinyls. And then when I left and did NoClip, I was like, oh, I need to get a player so I can enjoy all these. And I did. And then I became the sicko. And then I started my collection of video game vinyls. I have maybe, I don't think I have 100. That sounds insane. But I think I might have like 50 or 60 or something like that. I just took a screenshot just to give it. And some of these, again, are people sending them in because now they know I'm a vinyl sicko. Because somehow if you're in video game vinyl world, there's not that many people. So sometimes like when a press release is happening, they'll go, oh, send it to NoClip. Danny collects video game vinyl. So some of these are those. Some of them are ones I bought. But like Horizon Zero Dawn, Doom, that was sent in, I think. Fallout 3 I have here. That was given to me by Gerstmann. Donut County, Red Dead Redemption. Let's try and find the one that's the most obscure. It might be Donut County already. Donut County, Golden Axe, Red Dead Redemption. I don't know what the fuck that is. Hades. I have the one from Journey, which I've helped kickstart on that one. Demon Souls Remake. Jesus, I forgot I had that one. There's a Chromeo one in here. That's not video game, but Chromeo Rock. Loco Roco, which I play that sound. My daughter loves that soundtrack, so we play that one a lot. Quake, Katamari Damacy, Streets of Rage, Into the Breach, Hero of Time, which is the Zelda one that came out a few years ago, which they recorded with like some Slovakian national orchestra. Pyre, Transistor, and Bastion, which they did send to us as well, I think. You have copies of those, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Shout out to our friends at Supergiant. Bloodborne, Hotline Miami 2. That's a good one. No Man's Sky, Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery, FTL. I think those are all the ones I can read here. So I got that. Sorry, that's my one time to talk about my video game vinyl collection. There you go. I have a lot of video game vinyl. I listen to them not as much as I should. I listened to a lot of them before I moved to the last apartment because all the shit has been in boxes for a year, and I literally unpacked it like 3 days ago. So nice. I've been listening to them a lot for the past 2 days.
It's a good collection. Good. It's a very good collection. Good.
I like to sit there and drink a whiskey and play Retro Bowl and listen to music.
Also, the GTA 5 vinyl counts as an Aphex Twin vinyl because it has window liquor on Fly Low Radio.
Oh, does it really? Oh,
yeah, there's funny. I would just put up the track list for Fly Low Radio because I remember it being great. And it's got like Clams Casino, Fly Low, Gaslamp Killer, Hudson Mohawk.
I think my one, I forget. I gotta show it to you because it's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, it's got DJ Rashad on it. Wow, this is a really good track list.
I think this might be the OST.
Oh, it's like the game music. It's not like that actually makes sense for licensing purposes.
I just when you said Dream did.
Yeah,
they did the actual I think some of their songs in it are released already, but they did a bunch of original songs.
Gotcha. That makes sense. When you said 6 vinyls, I assumed it was every radio station.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot. Some of them are I think some of them are the score and some of them are other ones as well.
Cool.
Man, there you go. Who was it? Was it Kenny Rogers song they played on the 6th one? On the 6th trailer?
I can't even remember what it was. I watched that trailer once.
Love is a long road. Is that Kenny Rogers?
I have no idea.
Whoever it is, I bet they're fucking... I bet their Spotify playlist.
Oh, it's Tom Petty.
Tom Petty it is, of course. Tom Petty, Kenny Rogers. Yeah, I bet Tom Petty's... It's like Toto in Africa. I feel like Vice City is responsible for a lot of that. What was the other one on Vice City? The Sunset one. What's it called? Is it Cool in the Gang or no? Whatever it's called. Whatever.
There's the Flock of Seagulls song. That's also. I've been listening to a lot of Neil Young recently, and I was realizing how many. I think it was probably Vice City, if I had to guess, but one of the GTA, it might have been 3, I don't even remember, but one of the games has like 1 million Neil Young references to his lyrics that the announcers say in their like interstitial conversations that I never clocked until getting into Neil Young like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, which game was it?
One of the old GTAs. It was I think it was Vice City or 3, but they talk about like it's better to burn out and fade away, and, like a million little like Neil Young isms in their little interstitial diatribes.
That's great stuff, man. Good shit. What other? We got one more question?
Yeah, one more, and I forgot to preface it. If people have questions, feel free. We have a podcast at noclip.video. You can email us or send us in the Discord. This is from Ollie Kant. He has a story. Hey, gang, I've got a story for you which contains a question. My brother-in-law is a farmer. Often he goes around his land inspecting stuff for maintenance. One day last year during his rounds, he found an old 3DS from the remains of what looked like a picnic. Whoever owned it never came back to claim the 3DS, so it sat there for a year. My sister tells me to come down and take a look. I fished it out, and it didn't work, but I ordered a new charger, and it works fine now. The trouble is, I'm now looking at who owned it before. Turns out it was a girl called Maisie. Her profile on the 3DS said born 2008, so she could be like 15 now, but all the dates of pictures say 2014. I can only think she was given this 3DS as a hand-me-down and didn't know how to adjust the date and time. She clearly was a huge Pokemon fan, had physical games and lots digitally. Great taste. Took pics of herself in game and everything. There's even pics of her family and some face apps. This brings me to a bit of a dilemma. My 7-year-old niece has recently become a huge Pokemon nut. Won't shut up about it. She really wants this 3DS and has been fighting with her little brother over it. Should I wipe the whole 3DS and give it to her? See if I can transfer the original files on there and still give it to her? Or use what little details are on the 3DS and try to find the original owner and then placate my niece by buying her a secondhand 3DS with the Pokemon games? I would wipe it, but I'd feel bad erasing kids' stuff on there. That's someone's gaming memories. But at the same time, nobody came back for it. What should I do? Have you found yourself in a similar situation of just finding some abandoned device?
Man,
that's wild.
You gotta try.
Yeah, you gotta try it.
You gotta try.
But it's so tempting to just keep it, but I feel like you get infinite karma if you return that. At the very least, back up the files off of the 3DS and just have them just in case, especially if maybe the device fails or something because it's been sitting on the farm for a year.
Can you do that? Is there a way? Is there like an I/O port for a 3DS?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. It's been so long. I don't think I ever owned a 3DS.
I feel like the 3DS, because they would put out a new 3DS unit like every 3 months. I feel like they have a whole like extract all your data to a memory card. That's also how you pirated games.
Yeah. You can do an SD card.
You can rip everything to an SD card. So I would say it's at least worth putting everything on an SD card. If this was like, oh, we found it a month ago, hold on to it. But the fact that it's been sitting there for a year, I'm sure Maisie or whatever has already forgotten about it, or not forgotten about it, but has probably moved on. I feel like if they tried to come back and look for it, I'm hard.
Are we saying this got lost a year ago?
Yes.
Right. And this child is like, what, 14 or something?
So let's see. They're saying it could be 15, but the person's also thinking maybe she didn't know how to adjust the date and time. I don't know.
So, yeah, like if anyone is playing a fucking 3DS in the year of our Lord 2023, it means a lot to them, right? There's no one who's like casually it's either a hand-me-down or it's like her first computer. This could be my first computer situation where like I fucking have all my boxes still for my Amiga. They're right there. I'm 38 years old. God damn it, they're right there. So you gotta try. Like,
I have my Game Boy Pocket on the shelf right there too. So yeah.
You have to fucking try. It's not that common a name. It's not like it's fucking. I don't know where you live, but like maybe in like where would Maisie? Maybe in Arkansas, everyone's called Maisie. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe start putting up. Oh, but then I was like, if you make a post on Facebook, you're gonna have random people be like, "Oh yeah, that's mine." I don't know.
Yeah. I guess it's hard to find a kid too because they don't like have because they're smaller than regular people. No, because like they don't have like like digital like an email address, a LinkedIn profile, or like a Twitter page or some shit.
I would say do give it a shot, and if you can't find this person, don't like kill yourself looking for them.
My thought is like, is there any way to like go to the 3DS shop and see if there's like a Nintendo ID or email or even like not literally credit card information, but isn't there on the 3DS shop, isn't there like account info? Can't you like somehow?
Frank wants to steal her identity.
Well, no, I feel like there's
send us her credit card number and then we'll take care of it.
Probably track down an ID or the parent's ID. I don't know. I feel like if you go to the eShop, maybe there's info. Maybe the billing address you can straight up pull. I don't know. But
this sounds like a video game. You've got context clues. You have pictures.
Yeah,
pictures are pretty good. Like, is there?
Or it could be like a Black Mirror episode, and then they, it's a trap. I don't know.
The last picture on the 3DS is like how I'll kill my parents.
Yeah, like I'll bury them in the field. They go for a
next to my 3DS for the evidence on my 3DS.
If found, please deliver. If found, please deliver to Silent Hill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Signed,
exactly.
Name of
Maisie. Maisie upside down is Satan or whatever.
Yeah, it says meet me at our place in Silent Hill.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I don't know. It's a good story. That's why the email is like, oh shit. See, I felt heartless because my thought was like, it's been a year, whatever. But
yeah. No, I think that's totally fair. I think you give it a shot, but like you don't go crazy.
But back up the data for sure.
Yeah.
And just, I was like, and then just share it with the world. Forget, one day she'll find it.
Post it, turn it into content.
Yeah.
That's the thing. In my head, it's always going to be the best version. It's always like some, the sweet little girl in petticoats who like, oh, if only my 3DS would turn up. Whereas it's probably somebody who like was just like didn't want to go on this picnic and was just like, oh fuck, I'll just bring my 3DS. And then they left it there because they knew their parents would let them buy a new one or something. I don't know. The only thing is with the save games, that's the only killer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no really Nintendo is the problem here.
Yeah.
If they just had fucking cloud saves, then no one would be worried. But all of our favorite Pokemon are stuck in this field. Try your best, and if it doesn't work out, I feel like the next karmic cash in is giving it to your niece, right?
I really think you could if there's like a friends list, but it's a 3DS, so you're not going to see.
Somebody?
But it's like, can you message or like I don't know, maybe there's family friends if you log on. I don't know, but I feel like if there's online data, but if there's no online data, then I don't know. But
and if you don't want to do this, just send it to us. We'll do it. We'll make a whole documentary about it.
Finding Maisie.
Finding Maisie. Yeah, I think this is okay. I have the best answer. I think you should hack it and fill an SD card with ROMs and then give it back to Maisie and get her into like some OG shit.
Yeah, and have like a couple of like some movies on there, pirated movies.
Fight Club on an SD card.
Great. Yeah, she's like a teenager. Yeah, she wants to watch Memento.
This is like Castaway. Like 10 years from now, like she'll get a FedEx envelope. And it's
well said.
Yeah.
So 3DS. She's like, what the fuck is this? This is weird console.
I have a Steam Deck now.
My parents got me a Steam Deck because I lost my 3DS.
Exactly.
Now I have to return my Steam Deck. Thanks a lot.
Totally. Yeah. Just like Castaway, right? He gets home and she's remarried. And you're like, oh, fuck, shit. Damn it, Robert
Spoilers
Zemeckis.
For Castaway.
Yeah,
no, exactly.
I'm just kidding. Was that Zemeckis or was this Spielberg?
I think so. I think Zemeckis. That sounds right.
He did Forrest Gump too.
Yeah.
He's just a big Tom Hanks fan, is he? There you go. Those are podcast questions. Thanks for sending them in, everyone. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Welcome back, 2024. I called it the No Clip Podcast at the top. I meant to call it the No Clip Crewcast because that's what we're renaming this goddamn thing. We're making some changes over here. And the biggest change, I guess, is that, well, on the No Clip side, we're just going to make more like cool stories we want to tell and less the sort of past couple of years of doing whatever we can to trying our best with the stories we have, but sort of doing stuff that is kind of coming to us as well. I basically closed the doors on people reaching out to us, and I'm just reaching out to people and getting the stories that I think we should be doing, like the big games, small games, but telling all that interesting stuff. And myself and Jesse are working on an interview podcast, sort of in line with what the original No Clip podcast was, where it was these like edited interviews. That's what we're going to be doing under a new podcast name somewhere. We're still trying to figure that out. But the big change we're making as well is that we're putting a lot more time and effort into No Clip Crew, our second channel. Just feels like fucking internet sucks, man. I don't know where all the like cool, just like VOD shit is anymore. Like, I mean, we say this on the day that Twitch let go of 500 people, many of them friends of, I know myself and Jeremy at least know some folks who lost their jobs today. Live stuff isn't going anywhere, but like and Frank obviously does a lot of live stuff, but I just miss video game websites. I miss like cool videos that are edited and curated and fun and series, and we've been fucking around on No Clip Crew, and we had a great meeting yesterday where we were throwing around some of the ideas we had for the new No Clip Crew stuff, and I think we're gonna surprise some folks. We're gonna be collaborating with some of our friends of No Clip and getting them to do shows for us and joining us on shows. We're going to be putting out those, I think we're going to call them quick plays just to fucking be done with it instead of, I don't want to use the term quick look because then it just feels like we're trying to steal Giant Bomb's thunder or something. But I miss doing all those recommendation videos on indie games because it's kind of like our special sauce over here because we play so many of those. So we'll be doing more of those quick plays. We'll be doing series. I'm going to be doing a series where I play every shooter in the 90s and say why they're awesome and do a little history lesson on them, almost like some sort of school, about shooting. So that'll be fun. We've got Jeremy has an idea for a show called Fat Session.
Yes.
Which is where you just it's like imagine an 8-hour video where somebody plays a game, but it's not a live stream.
Yeah.
So imagine they're just vibing, and we'll do like one of these a month, and it'll be a fucking cool game. If for the sickos who want to watch an 8-hour video, you can watch a fat session of Heroes of Might and Magic with Jeremy. I want to do Stalker for that one.
I'm gonna buy some beer today and probably record one tomorrow and crack one around 6 hours in and see how we go.
It'd be humiliating when the VOD breaks when you're like 6 hours in. You gotta span those clips.
I will span those clips, yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna be doing just like new game quick plays. We'll be doing loads of series and stuff like that. We've got some big plans for that thing, and we're gonna see if it works out. But we're excited to jump in and do some more stuff while we're sort of like making the best versions of the docs we can. It's just a good way of us basically focusing down on the doc work, making sure that we're not like rushing stuff out, which I felt like we often end up doing. We have our Return to Monkey Island documentary coming out pretty soon. I'm just doing the last trimmings to it at the moment. I'm not sure if we're going to re-record the stand-ups, Jeremy. I think I might. I watched through today, and I think I'm all right with them. I think I'm going to add some voiceover maybe to recontextualize some parts. I think that's what it needs mostly. The Dwarf Fortress doc is still coming. Shout out to Blind, the streamer, Blind IRL, who I hired a couple months back to basically do a bunch of really specific Dwarf Fortress capture. And he also gave us access to his entire archive of streams too. So Blind has been helping us on the Dwarf Fortress doc. I'm thinking about going back up and doing more interviews with them because Adventure Mode is coming out in, I think, did they say March, I think, of this year? So why not keep going? We're recording a documentary next week on one of our favorite games of 2022, I think it was now, if I'm not wrong, which will be good fun. And I think I mentioned it earlier, we secured a pretty big one, a multi-part series on one of the biggest games of the past 5 years, which we'll be recording during this year. Looks like we'll be doing the first recording for that in mid-March. So it's all coming in. Hyper Light Breaker episode 3 is also in the works as well, and a bunch of other bits and bobs. So super busy over these parts. Frank, what are you doing for the rest of your week? You playing any games? Are you mostly doing life admin stuff?
Yeah. Like, it's so funny. I thought Monday was going to be this coming Monday. Is like, I had already set aside like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a bunch of dad stuff done. And then you reminded me it was Martin Luther King Day.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, shit. Oh man.
Everything's closed.
I have to text or call somebody. Yeah, we'll figure it out. So again, it's like, oh, I'll get delayed, whatever. But yeah, I want to beat Yakuza Like a Dragon. I might try to see Godzilla with friends this weekend.
Oh, nice.
I'm easing back into finding some routine. It's not as miserable as it was. I don't have to take like depression naps during the day anymore because I'm so overwhelmed. So starting to ease back into it. Yeah.
Good to hear. Baby steps, dude. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good to see. You seem a lot more chipper today.
Yeah.
Not that you need to be, take it at your own pace, of course. Jeremy, how you doing? You fucked your foot up as well. You're all right over there? We never talked about that.
I know. I won't get into the gory details, but I was standing on the edge of my bed frame cleaning something up high, and the bed frame itself broke under the weight of my foot, and my foot came down on a piece of metal full of screws. So it was not only horribly mangled, but also potentially somewhat fractured. I still don't know. I still can't walk. It's been like 6 days. We're filming next week, so I'm just gonna tape up my foot and hope for the best.
Jesus Louise.
Yeah, I know it's a really bad time. I would have been fine with like smashing my foot up if we weren't traveling, but I think it'll be okay. Are
you still can't walk on it?
I mean, it feels bad. I don't know. I I haven't gotten an X-ray because I can't drive. And I just feel like I broke my toe like 5 years ago, and all they do is tape it. So
right.
I've just been heel walking a lot. Apparently, I did a lot of research. Walking on a broken foot is the best way to heal it. It seems very counterintuitive, but I'm doing okay. So I've been playing a lot of Like a Dragon as well, trying to get through it, and in anticipation of Infinite Wealth, and it's awesome. So
no worries.
Probably do more.
Sounds
of that.
good. I'm gonna drop a monitor up to you in the next little while.
Yeah.
If you want me to drop it to the hospital, I'll do that too if you want.
Thank you. I think I'm okay.
Out there. Okay.
I think I'll be all right.
The power of video games will heal.
Yeah. I'll just wrap a Super Nintendo cable around my feet.
I don't know what I'm doing for the rest of this week. I got a lot of editing to do on the Monkey Island stuff, especially because we're away filming for the majority of all of next week. Basically, I am away. I think you are too. We all are. And then moving into this fucking new house. Like this room has been set up mostly. The garage studio space is coming together. It was just full of shit. A lot of it was in here and the rest of the house. So as that clears up, I'm setting up there'll be a live streaming thing there. I'll be setting up a bay to do all the tape capture stuff. All the tapes are now in a climate controlled place down the road. Just like a lot of house chore shit. After moving into this place. All that stuff too. Got to record some. We're recording a BMX XXX quick play tomorrow, Frank, I think, aren't we?
Yes, I'm very excited for.
Only the most relevant games coming to No Clip.
Cutting edge.
It's going to be very funny. We didn't put up a video on No Clip Crew in 5 months, and then we're just going to turn up with a BMX XXX video.
That's awesome. That's a power move.
2024, baby. Let's go.
My honest hope is we'll figure it out. Like, I'm excited to play the game, but if I really like it, that might be a game I just keep playing and then give updates on the podcast or whenever I beat it. But
perfect.
I've always wanted to play it.
Tell us how the story goes.
Yeah.
BMX XXX. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast, folks. We hope you're keeping well, and we'll see you next week here on the No Clip Crewcast. Bye.